Hello everybody, I'm Giuseppe Basili, also known as the FibStalker. Thanks for joining this part 2 of today's review. This is the daily intraday review for today, May the 21st, 2018. It's 15 past 10 p.m. EST, and this is part of the FibStalker and Agent Trading Services. As usual, please pause the video and read and accept the disclaimer, the usual disclaimer here, if you have not done that just yet. All right, so let's continue here with this analysis, starting from the euro pound. The euro pound is in a sequence of measure move lower, as you know, and this market has been retesting this level a number of times, now holding the 50%, but it's still technical here. And the reason of this continued move lower here, laterally here, sorry, it's that euro and pound basically are moving in lockstep, with possibly the euro being the weakest this summer. So we're gonna see about that. So we really don't know. So here what we have to do, we have to follow the sequence of measure moves below 87.04. We know that the first target 84.56 is confirmed, and that would actually be actually a continuation of the current trend. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, with the strength in the Canadian dollar and weakness, the New Zealand dollar and weakness of the Canadian dollar, this market actually has started a potential move higher here, and this market is in a large trend. On the daily time frame, there was 50% trading at the beginning of the week here. Lows to highs, as found participation close to the first target, could continue higher into the second target here. Okay, so this market is very extended, and we will use the 50% here, but another bull anchor could also come into play. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar here, a similar situation because of the strength in the Australian dollar and Canadian dollar weakness here. So this market has traded a 50% as well, which was the lows to highs here, has not held. The 61% level was respected. So at this point, we have to anticipate that this market continues higher into a retest of the highs here. The 50% should not hold in this market. Okay, and of course the shorts have failed here, and the market is extended. And we will need to find here the anchor that is being used, and we're going to use this high here for now, and we will see whether a more technical market is going to develop after price got into that 97, 98 level. Euro Canadian dollar has had a big move lower here, of course mimicking the euro weakness in the last 5 weeks, and it's attempting a retrace here. This market has a clear sequence. You remember that lows to lows here has traded twice, the lows to first target, lows to lows, first and second target, and now we have to use the extension, lows to new lows. Okay, so we're gonna see whether this market is going to continue lower here. As you know, here the sequence has failed. This market has never tested the full 50%, not yet, which means that this market could continue higher into that resistance level, and then continue lower and test that 50% long. Okay, so this gives more power to and importance to this 152.30 level. Euro Australian dollar. So we saw weakness in the euro and strength, a little bit of strength in the Australian dollar, and this has basically caused a continued move lower in this market. And for those of you who are on the mastermind as well on Facebook, I mentioned the trade here, short. It went to the first target I mentioned, but went well below that level. Okay, so when we look at what this market is currently trading, or it has traded before, it has traded extension shorts and keeps trading in extension shorts. As you can see here, after testing the second target, and the this trend here has failed, but then the market continued lower. So we're going to reuse that same anchor in case we see a retrace here into the 155.60 level. Okay, and that's where we could see this market move into. Euro, New Zealand dollar. The Euro New Zealand dollar, similar situation here. Big weakness in this market for several weeks, and as you can see here, the reversal here, it's preparing. Once this market leaves this area here, it could actually precipitate very, very quickly, and the euro could actually help that. Okay, pound versus Canadian dollar, and the pound, as this market has traded a 50% short here, and since it has moved lower here, based on weakness of pound. Now there is a 50% here that has traded. That's the lows to highs that has traded basically today here. So we need to find the sequence of measure moves for a confirmation here, the move higher, and we could use the traditional measure move here. Okay, that's going to be from highs to lows. There was an attempt to respect that level, and I will consider it respected for now. So above 133.01, this is a potential long here, which reflects weakness in the Canadian dollar rather than obviously strength in pound. Similar situation here, pound versus Australian dollar, because Australian dollar has been trading strongly here. We saw this move lower. This is after trading a 50% short here. And so the opposing measure move, when we look at the weekly in the Australian dollar, pound Australian dollar, it's much lower. It's 171.25. Okay, now the sequence here is the same that we identified a couple of weeks ago. The market went into that first target, never came to trade the 50% here. However, the aggressive move here, lows to lows, found participation. Okay, and so that's the trade, that's the move that we have to consider here, moving lower into first and second target, and then we will see whether there is going to be continuation. Pound versus New Zealand dollar, similar situation here, even a little bit weaker. When we look at the last few days here, we see this continued move lower. Okay, so this market has tested highs here on the weekly and was not able to move above those levels, which means that it's very likely to move lower. The next support is going to be 191.84, and that's where this market is moving here. Okay, so doing that in extensions. Let's see if the 50% on the 4-hour time frame has traded here from highs to lows, and that was 194.68. The high was 94.56. So I will not consider that traded. It's an extension. Okay, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. This market has had a weekly setup short, which was tested twice, if you remember, and then went into this 50% long that since has found participation. Now, the 50% opposing 50% short is also important. As you can see here, as we mentioned also last week, there was a potential for participation here, and we are seeing that participation. Okay, this market is also pretty extended here, and you know, when we use the lows to lows here, this is the level that you know, we were using before on this daily, and that has traded. So if this continues, it's going to be an extension short. Remember that the weekly shorts are in control here, and now the daily are also showing participation here, which means that, you know, this market could actually keep participating here on the short side for many weeks, and the target of the larger time frame is below the previous lows. Okay, so it's actually at the previous lows, and the inner measured move here is a target at 78.10. Right, so the euro, Japanese yen, there was a weakness in this market, and you know, the 50% short here has come into play here at the beginning of the week. We had that level already on the chart because it was tested the week before, 130-137, into that first target. Okay, because this is a range, there's a possibility to test and even overcome this 123.52. Of course, the euro is weak here, particularly weak, and this could continue into the second target. If it does not, then you know, the next measured move is going to be lows to lows. So sorry, highs to lows if it trades it. Otherwise, it's going to be lows to lows, and this is being a very technical market here. So certainly a market to consider and to trade. As you can see, we also have the weekly short here. There's the first target below, near that second target of the daily. So very technical markets, we're following it. Pound versus Japanese yen here, it's trading level that we have here on the daily. This is the next 50% that has already traded, bounced that price, and now it's trading again. The second test, you know, the second tests are dangerous tests, so this could actually continue lower here. The lows to lows is the 50% that has pushed this price lower. As you can see, the first target was hit here, and if we get profit taking a retrace, the next measured move is going to be and also the test of the bulls here is going to be the 148.36 level. Right, New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. So this market is testing the 50%, 68.10. Not really a lot to say for this market. It's in a lateral move here, and this could continue lower. 50% has traded here, which is visible on the daily. Highs to lows. First target not hit yet. That's where we could go. We could move in this market. Okay, and there's a 50% looming below here. If this market can make it below this range here, below the boundary low there. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Also, kind of difficult market here to trade. As you can see, the sequence has failed, so we're waiting for start of a move lower, then a retrace and a continuation lower. Okay, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. The Canadian dollar is weak here. This market has traded the 50% once again. 2 weeks ago we had that level, 50% level on the chart, and since we have seen weakness here, the first measure move, highs to lows has not traded, but the second has traded. So this is the 50% short that has a first target in the 67.22 area, and that could continue even lower. As you can see here, this market has a strong potential for a move lower because of the short here, and could actually test in the coming weeks. It could test the 72.64. Okay, so there's a potential for a sell here in this market, so this could still be a good opportunity. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. This market has traded very technically on the daily and weekly here, and once the sequence has failed, it came to retrace all the way into the 50%. So first and second target, the failure of the next measure move, and then the market came, just following the rules, came to trade into that 50% short. So that's what we see here in this market. Okay, a 50% short that could actually push price much lower. Euro, Swiss franc. It's it's an extension here that brought price into the first target, and this market has retraced the 90%. It's now testing the next measure move, and that's the reason why we are seeing a little bit of profit taking at these levels. Now we have to see whether this is going to hold or not. It will depend greatly on the euro, of course, but this could be an opportunity for a retrace here, and if that happens and it's strong enough, it could bring price into the 1724, which is the next trade here, and at that point that would also break the extension that we just mentioned. If that happens, then this market is going to retrace all the way into the 50%. Okay, so very key here, key levels, highs to highs below the one, so below the 115.16. this is going to trade to continue much lower here. So we have to be very careful here, particularly if the euro weakness starts again right away. Pound versus Swiss franc has failed the next measure move here. Not a lot to say in this market. That has not worked, and we know that there's a high potential now for price to retest this level, or we should say exactly the opposite, for this level to be tested by algorithms. And so the point here is where the next retrace, if we get it, is going to come from. Okay, and that would be that would be a potential here, highs to lows as traded, and price went into the first and second target, and if we get a retrace, it's natural to consider the lows to lows here, and that would be the 33. That would be the 33 the 33.47 level there. That's where we could see participation, renewed participation short. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Weakness here, and it's trading still within this channel. So if we get participation higher here, we could revisit the 50% long. But you know, this market has been trading lower lows and lower highs. If it breaks the 74.61, 67.34, it's in the cards, and that's what we could see in these markets. Okay, and finally, Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We are testing these two levels here. We retested successfully 81.32 based on strength that we saw in the Australian dollar. Now, when we trace the lows, the highs to lows here, we know that there is resistance. There was resistance at this level here, and the market could move higher again to test the level, but you know, there are 50% short before, and yes, this is a range, but there was also participation here from shorts. Okay, so overall, highly trending markets. We need to see whether the dollar index is going to put that retrace, and that after the end of that retrace, we would actually, if that happens, we would actually see the next measure move, possibly the next measure move higher, which would translate into the next measure move lower for the euro and higher for the other markets trading along with the dollar index. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the trading room as well as in the mastermind. Bye bye now.